Hello and welcome to my bedroom, welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be showing you some of my fashion sketchbooks. I study fashion design print at university. I'm currently making a physical portfolio out of my sketchbooks. I have 3 projects, so 3 sketchbooks I need to use to make a portfolio out of. Usually when I make portfolios, I destroy my sketchbooks, I flick through them, and if I find something I like, I cut it out, then I lay it out in a different way, on maybe a bigger sheet of paper in a way that kind of shows my thought process, shows the story of the concept more. I don't like everything in every page, you know, it's a sketchbook, it's kind of done in the moment, it's done as I'm going along. So a lot of the stuff I do in sketchbooks I don't actually like, I'm just kind of dumping ideas into them. So it's kind of nice to refine them in a portfolio. So I thought I'd show my sketchbooks before I completely destroy them. Sadly, I already destroyed my first sketchbook of the year. To be honest, I just forgot I was going to film this video and I destroyed it to start making my portfolio. It's gone, it's dead. I actually filmed the sketchbook on my TikTok because I like to film my sketchbooks for my TikTok. So if you want to see that sketchbook, I'll link the TikTok video underneath this video if you want to go see it. So I'm going to start with this sketchbook, which is the second sketchbook of the year. This project was called the Balenciaga project and it was in collaboration with the Balenciaga Museum in Spain.
But maybe I'll just go through it and talk about it.
I went for a white sketchbook this time because I never go for white sketchbooks. I always choose the black cover ones. And I just thought, you know what, let's switch it up. Let's do something different. I always change the size of my sketchbooks. Sometimes I go for A5, sometimes for A3, sometimes for A4, sometimes horizontal, sometimes vertical. I like to switch it up because I feel like I just learn more things with trying out different layouts. I don't know if that makes sense. I just feel like my brain kind of works differently depending on the layout. And so when I get the project name, I'm like, this deserves an A5 sketchbook, you know? I just get the vibe of the project matches the size of the sketchbook. So I don't know, I saw the sketchbook and I was like, that matches the Balenciaga project. I don't know what to say, I just felt like it matched the vibe. I actually really liked using it. I liked the A4 size, I like the white cover. I might use an A4 sketchbook again in the future because I did really enjoy it. This was a tailoring project, so it was a lot about pattern cutting and tailoring, something that I haven't done much of in the past. So it was really interesting to learn a lot of these new things. So I firstly started just by looking at the archives in the Balenciaga Museum, and I just looked at them, looked what they were made out of, when they were made, looked at like the patterns of how they make them. We also had a lesson where they showed the toiles, the patterns of these garments. I kind of went through all the pictures I took during the lesson, went over everything they said basically in the sketchbook so I could proper learn it.
Proper get it in there.
Because I really wanted to understand how they were made. So yeah, this is another jacket, this is the toile of the jacket. I just write like what it's made of and like all the techniques used because it's like very particular techniques that I want to remember. Just writing notes, still writing notes. This is another dress. This is how it's made. This is another dress, which is so pretty. This is how it's made. And then in the museum there was also some magazines and images of 1920s fashion, because that's when Cristobal Balenciaga was kind of like working. So there was basically fashion from his era. So I looked at all the dresses in these like magazines and drew them out so I could proper analyze them. Did the same thing. Oh my god, it keeps falling. Did the same thing here. I did the same. My hand, why is it so heavy? Did the same thing here. These are still shots from the museum. As you can see, I spent a lot of time doing this just because I really wanted to learn and analyze properly. This was actually my favorite dress in the whole exhibition, which is kind of odd for me because I'm definitely a maximalist and this is kind of a minimalist dress, but I really liked the construction of it. I thought it was super interesting. More pages on how the dress is made, more pages from the exhibition. And then we go into my other research, which is Richard Serra's sculptures. Printed out the pictures from the exhibition, drew from them because I was interested in the shapes and the shapes they created like on the ceiling. And then I kind of mixed these shapes with Balenciaga's designs, kind of mixing those two ideas.
I'm actually not very good at explaining my work.
For example, this is a Richard Serra sculpture, this is a Balenciaga dress, and I feel like it would make a pretty cape. And I like the shape. I think also it's a good contrast because these dresses are kind of more classical, this is like contemporary art, so it's a good juxtaposition. More Richard Serra sculptures, some shitty drawings that I did, some more shitty drawings that I did. Oh, here I actually already destroyed this page and I made it into this portfolio page, which I'm not sure I like, because basically I wanted to get inspired by weathering steel and how steel rusts over time and kind of those colors. So I kind of like made a little color palette and kind of was thinking about that. But then I made some prints out of that, and I actually did not like the prints at all, so I kind of changed my mind and didn't go for that idea. This is just me designing a little bit more, combining, you know, Balenciaga's clothes with weathered steel or Richard Serra sculptures. And then I started draping, so I wanted to create this kind of effect, like this rounded effect. I did do a design that this is oh, there it is. I wanted to kind of create this little design sketch I did, so I kind of, with card, I started draping on the mannequin to kind of find those shapes or find interesting shapes. I did really like this shape I created on this shoulder. And then I kind of started looking more at angular Richard Serra sculptures rather than round ones, so kind of these pointy ones. And I still basically placed these shapes on top of Balenciaga's clothes. Then I tried to create a jacket that I drew. I actually don't have the drawings here, but basically I had apart from the sketchbook, I also made a whole set of like drawings on loose A4 sheets as I was going along for like different designs. So the designs are not actually in here, but this is kind of like the process. So I wanted to make this jacket from one of my designs. This is the first toile. This is the first toile, and I hated how it looked. Actually, this is the second toile, I think, because I made another one before that was so bad. Maybe even the third toile, because it took me so long to get to like the simple shape that I wanted. I just kept failing and not getting what I wanted at all. This is one of the toiles I made, but I wanted something more simple and more effective. This is a different toile I made, kind of getting closer to what I wanted. That's the end of the sketchbook, but basically this is what I made, the pointy one. And I'll insert a picture of my final garment. But yeah, so that was when I found the short jacket shape I liked. But yeah, I'll insert a picture somewhere so that you can see how the final garment looked like. I kind of stopped doing the sketchbook because I really needed to focus on my final garment and just sewing that and making that. So
Honestly, I don't even know if me speaking about these sketchbooks is interesting at all.
I don't really know what to say, but I don't know. I'll try it out. I have made videos about my portfolios and my sketchbooks on TikTok, and people seem to be interested in them, so I want to make more, but I just don't know what to say about it. Okay, so next sketchbook. This was called the Digital Fantasies project, and it was in collaboration with Richard Quinn, which is a designer. And it was all about digital print and learning Photoshop and learning how to do digital repeat prints. This project, I based it on micro mosaics because I have been kind of obsessed with micro mosaics for some time, especially micro mosaic jewelry. I always look if there's some for sale that I can afford because I'm in love with them. I do have a couple pieces, and when I see them at markets, I'm always like, whoa. So that's kind of what I wanted to look at because it's kind of like an interest of mine anyway. So I kind of looked up how they were made, when they were made, why they were made, and looked at different micro mosaic jewelry. As you can see, I did a lot of drawing for this just because, I don't know, the jewelry kind of inspired me to draw. As you can see, I I like all the tiny details, even in the metal. I just love this kind of style, so I did a lot of inspired drawings. And also creating prints, I feel like it's very important to do drawings, because that's kind of how I get to prints, by my drawing, by my illustrations. This is kind of a floral motif that was on a jewelry item. These are actually acrylic paintings I did some time ago, and I was like, what if I just destroy these and make a micro mosaic. The way it kind of turned out is so adorable. And then I found, whilst I was looking for micro mosaic books in the library, I found this book on, I think, 1920. Yeah, in bakelite jewelry. The colours were introduced in the 1920s, and that's when they became popular. And they were used until the 1930s. And I really liked the bright, bold colours, and I really liked the juxtaposition of the micro mosaic jewelry with this jewelry, because micro mosaic is so detailed and it takes so long, and this bakelite jewelry is kind of like big chunks of plastic, colourful plastic. Like, I just like the juxtaposition between those two ideas, so I kind of like collaged them together visually, aesthetically, used motifs or paintings from the micro mosaic jewelry, and kind of paired it with the bakelite jewelry. These are all collages. Yeah, as you can see, I'm kind of like experimenting with visuals. And this is like, all this time I'm creating, at the same time I'm creating a lot of prints on Photoshop and repeat prints, and that's the ones I ended up using at the end. And also I'm making bigger drawings on A3 pieces of paper, so that's outside of the sketchbook. Yeah, and then I drew these paintings which inspired some of my prints. But yeah, so that's kind of the sketchbook. I also draw on separate pieces of paper. I like to do my fashion sketches on single A4 sheets. I don't know why, I just find it easier. Sometimes, obviously, I want to make bigger drawings, so I go out of sketchbooks and make bigger drawings. But those are the two sketchbooks from the projects. I don't know if this was interesting at all. I hope so. Yeah, if you liked it, please comment, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you liked about this, so maybe next time I can do more of that. Yeah, so, and I'm kind of sorry, I think I have like a sore throat coming, so I might sound a bit weird, but yeah, bye bye.